some people didn't even know about it. And perhaps when we go this time around, we hear so much feedback about stipends being shared. We hear about those testimonies and we hear about all those stipends coming in. So it's all those things that do happen. Now, I want to bring it to one example, that something that happened over the week. I've not even told my wife. A woman called me. Let me call her a woman. A woman called me, and she said, I'm right at this verge of leaving my marriage. Meanwhile, all along, it's a couple that I've been looking up to. Everything was perfect from the outside. Even the WhatsApp statuses, they're perfect. Even Facebook is perfect. Instagram is perfect. The photos they post together, everything is just perfect. And yet she told me that she is this close. She is not happy in her marriage. And you know what challenge? The challenge that I got. But don't speak to my husband. He will know that I spoke to you. You see, you put someone in a very difficult position because you want them to help you, but you are blocking them from helping you. And then I say to her, look, I know we'll find ways of solving this problem. I don't have a solution right now, but we will find a way of solving your problem and helping you. And your husband will be part of that solution. But I don't know how right now, because you don't want us to talk to your husband now. That is something that awakened me. I said to myself, there are things happening in these marriages. And sometimes you look at the screensaver and we think everything is fine. Meanwhile, people are suffering. So I want you to think about that when we get into this conversation. Because sometimes we think everything is fine, when in actual fact, it's not. Your wife is actually told the person that, please don't talk to my husband about this issue. And you are thinking, I am perfect, the perfect husband ever. Meanwhile, your wife is not even happy with something, but she can't confront you because you are unconfrontable. That way, does it exist?
Now it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are not approachable.
For that man.
So she will pose for a photo with you for the optics. But she is not happy. So I think we need to reach a point where we need to start asking ourselves very difficult questions about what exactly is happening. I will give another example, then I will hand over to the advocate here. And I'm not going to divulge many details because some of you might then figure out who the person is. But a certain woman came to my wife and said, you know what? My husband does not love my family at all. He hates my mother, my father. He doesn't even like anything to do with my family. But please don't talk to her. Don't talk to him. This hair and him is very difficult. Please don't talk to him. Because it will mess up a lot of things. So my wife came to me and says, here is a case, but the wife does not want us to confront the husband, but she desperately needs help. What can we do? Then I said, okay, the Lord will make a way. So then we were invited for dinner somewhere, and we knew that man and his wife would be there. And I said to my wife, we are going. My wife said, no, I'm not going. I said, why? He said, I know that if we go there, you might address this issue. And it will be very difficult for me. So I'm not going. So I went for that dinner myself. That man came with his wife, and he came with another single brother. This single brother was engaged, was about to was preparing for a wedding. So we said, we sat there, we had dinner, and we was talking. Then I said to this young man who is getting married, I said, young man,
Young man,
I want to talk to you because you are getting married. Let me tell you something. Then I started going into all the issues that this man has. But I was not talking to him. No, I was not talking to him. I was talking to this young man who is getting married. Telling him how he needs to be, how he needs to respect the wife's husband, the wife's parents. Even if they do anything wrong, he must never ever hate them. And show that to the wife that you hate the parents. Oh, I went to town that day. I really went to town with that issue. The following day, the wife of that man called my wife and said, you know what? My issues are all resolved. So I said, you know, many times there are problems. It's how you approach those problems. And many times some people don't even want to be told that they've got a problem. So they will resist. The moment you start talking about things here, people will resist. You wear this jacket and try to protect yourself. But meanwhile, it's things that help you. So what I want you to do is just write it down. Take note of it. It will help you one day. You will remember it and say, oh, that's what they were talking about. You know, when you're 4 years into the marriage and we talk about things that happened in 10 years, you'll be saying, these guys are exaggerating. Especially when children come. The first one, you're okay. Second one, troubles start coming in. Third one, oh my goodness, we're talking with Maggie as we're going along. I says, you know, when they become teenagers, the challenges increase. Mm-hmm. Only those without teenagers are very good parents. The moment you have teenagers, then you will understand. I mean, I'm talking about, when you can still buy your children, you go to the shops, buy your children clothes and bring them home and they wear them. You're fine. Not when you go and buy them, they tell you, no, I don't like it.
And you have to take it
or
back.
it's not my brand. Rather not buy it and buy the right brand for me. When you reach that point, that's a different case altogether. So, advocate, your time. Thank you.
Yeah, you have said a mouthful, and I really do not know where to start. Because when I talk, I need also to touch bases on the issues that you have made mention of, Mr. Maja as well, and everyone here, some questions that were raised. But there is one thing I want to say, Romans 12 verse 2, if I'm not mistaken, which talks about the changing of minds. So we can come here, we can say anything, we can write, we can record, but if our mindset is not changing, we are not going anywhere. You are as good as if you have never come to this session. Because what Mr. Maja, for an example, was talking about is not something that is coming from the moon, or it's something that we know, but we have never given attention to it. Now, when we leave from here, personally, I'm going to change the mindset on that. And I think each of us can relate to whatever that he was saying, but one way or the other, there's an aspect of what he said and he talked about that relates to your case. Now, when you move out of here, I said it earlier on that you shouldn't take time to blame each other, that you heard him when he said this and this. You are a culprit on that basis. But you should say, how do I help? Because the fact that you are saying he is a culprit on that aspect, it means you have a better idea. So don't use that idea to attack him, but you must use it to assist him to improve. Now, we as Christians, there is a problem that we turn out to be too spiritual about the issues. There's something that confronts you, you want to run to the scripture, whilst it's something that you can deal with it. We need to ask ourselves a very simple question. I normally say this. Our grandparents were not the churchgoers, were not born again. Some of them were traditional, some of them were illiterate. We took the vows that till death do us part. We can read the biblical scriptures from Genesis to Revelations. But where does it all go wrong? I read the statistics of Statistics SA. There's a report on the marriages and divorces. There is a form when you apply for divorce which you fill in, which is sent to Statistics SA, which they use to compile and then give the report. I think what touched me was a 2017-2018 report, we said 46% of divorces were emanating from the marriages that were solemnized in the church. And I can tell you, I don't know, I haven't done the statistics. I know that the Christians are forming a biggest chunk of that percentage. Now, it's a question that I say we need to introspect. What is it that we are not doing right, different to our parents? Because they never took the vows, they never went to church. But they do, the dead do us part concept, they understood it very well. And we know most of them died in those houses. But with us, 1 year, 2, 3, we have failed. I went to Swaziland with my friend. He was getting married. It was 2014, October, July 2015. Divorce done, dusted. Yeah. Earlier on, I had some couples that came to the office when I was still in practice. They said we got married in November. It was on the 5th of January when the first day at work, they said we are tired. Yeah, we want to part ways. So those are the things that are happening out there, which we should be technically aware before I start my project of the day. Number one, I'm going to refer to some scriptures and then narrate thereafter. The Ephesians 5 verse 31, which says, a man should leave his mother and father and cling to his wife, so they shall be one. I'm going to deal with the first aspect there. For some ladies, immediate when you get married, in that case of a gentleman that I said he got married in October and then the following year, July, the wife didn't want the family of the husband to come to the house. I remember when they had a baby, the sisters came with the clothes and then she took them, put a paraffin and then burned them. Because she said, here we are not living with the hands out. Your family does not understand what the scripture says. They must, when will they leave us in peace? Because the fact that their son decided to choose me, or their brother decided to choose me, it meant they had to give us a space to survive. It normally happens. Boom, it's a young couple, they get married. After getting married, they buy themselves a house. And after buying themselves a house, the relatives at the village, they then said there's another home away from home. We're going to send someone to study, and he goes there. We understand that there is a way young couple must live. And there's a way when you grow up as well as a couple, you live. At some point, your wife will want to walk from the bedroom up to the kitchen naked because it's her house. She must feel free to do so. But then there is a family that is coming that they also want, because the biggest problem that I have realized is that whenever they come, there is when you see them fighting your wife, it's a contest of dependence. And you need to deal with that. It's very simple. So now, how do we deal with that? Because these want to depend and your wife wants her space over there. I don't know, you need to tell what must happen. Your case may not be similar to mine. But when they say leave your parents, do you really leave your parents? It doesn't say you should desert them. It says you should leave them. There is a scripture that says, honor your mother and father for your number of days to be many on earth. And there is another one, is 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. He who does not take care of his family, especially his relatives, he is worse and worse than the pagans. So if you encourage your husband to desert the family where she comes from, because those are the people, if he gets married at the age of 30, those are the people he had been knowing for the whopping past 30 years. All of a sudden you want him to forget as if nothing has happened. And therefore you must know that if you are encouraging him or teaching him to desert that family, What I'm saying, it applies both sides. If you encourage him to do so, or you encourage her to do so, it means you are inviting a curse right into your house. You should therefore not be surprised, because God can bless you whilst he doesn't have you in mind, but people around you. So therefore, you are like someone. Now we are going to the elections. Fortunately, they give you 5 years, and if you don't perform, they chuck you out. So God will give you an opportunity to look after your family. And if you don't do so, you'll be surprised. What was happening for you, it goes to somebody else next door. Because when they identified you from heaven, they thought that this one will be the best to distribute the minimum resources that we will allocate for that family. Because for us as the Africans, we mustn't forget that. We come to Johannesburg and then we start to subscribe to certain principle that says a family is me and my wife. And then we forget where we come from. I'm not saying you should give to your extended family even if you don't have anything. You should provide within your reasonable means of doing so. That is why you have to sit down and discuss that. So, you are stressing either your wife or your husband. If they want to benefit from him and you want to monopolize benefiting from him, you must know that sometimes he will not be happy about that. You must not be surprised when you see him starting to be more closer to his family than with you. Then you'll start to say your husband is discussing you with his family, or your wife is gossiping about you with her family. You need to come together, assist each other. Whenever you are facing a problem, I normally say to my wife, when they say for better, for worse, they don't mean a man must go outside, do things, and then come back, tell his wife that you vowed and said for better, for worse. They are talking about the problems that are confronting both of you directly. Our problem, not the problems that you create there and then they come and haunt us inside you. Now, when the extended family is complaining about you, they are a problem for both of you. Therefore, you have to sit down and regroup both of you and say, how do we deal with this? If he wants to come and stay in Pretoria solely to study, the pain of popping out some thousands to get a room for him to stay in when he's studying is far better than the pain of having an adult in the house. I'm telling you, you will be having an old person in the house. You can't even be romantic to each other. You have to have secrets. Remember, your kids are still coming. You will be intending to enjoy yourself and the kids will be disturbing you. You started by being disturbed by your brother or your sister that is in your house. And then by the time you start to have babies, you are tired. That marriage is finished. That marriage is finished. So you need to, that is the first part of the verse that I read. The second one, it says, so therefore you should be one. It means you should be prepared to transform. This attitude of saying, indoda mina. We know about that. What is so special about that? You have to show us that you are a man by doing the proper things, not to declare it. It says, we will see it when you say we are a man. So, the second part of the verse, what I pick up is that it creates a team. It says one. I want you to think about a team of Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates playing. It doesn't matter, Kaizer Chiefs may be winning by 4-0 or Pirates whatever, but never at any stage you'll hear the player of a team that is not winning saying, you team that is winning, please give me a jersey. I want to wear it so I'll use it to fight and assist you to play against my team because it's letting me down. What does it mean? It doesn't matter what, no matter how angry you are, there shouldn't be any stage where you discuss your weaknesses, especially with your relatives. The strangers is fine, but your relatives, it doesn't matter whether she improves, whether she transforms, they will always view her as of the past. So you must make sure that you protect her. And When you think, as a person, you need to have someone that you're afraid of and a person that you trust. Whenever you have a problem, you can rush to rather than going to your family. Because we want to build a relationship. You must remember you are an ambassador for your wife. They don't know her. She knows you. They know you. So you are a go-between. You must make sure that whenever they think, my marriage counselor, when I was getting married, he said at some point, when they want money from you, whilst you know that you have it, you must just on purpose say, no, for this month I'm not in a good standing. Can you try to talk to your daughter-in-law? Maybe she can assist you. You are instilling a culture that says she is the part of the family. And when they go to her, you still pop the money from your pocket and give it to her so that she gives it to them and build that relationship. That was about managing the external factors in a marriage. And I'm saying this because what I have realized with most of the divorces, the cause thereof is not the individuals. Normally, you are not a problem to each other. Remember, you met each other, you dated, you agreed that you want to get married. How come, therefore, then after 5 years you become a problem to each other? Unless there is someone that says this one is a problem to you, and the other one says, yeah, yes, this one is a problem. So what I was saying is a way to manage the movement of the intruders into your own relationship as you go forward. Now I want to deal with a relationship whereby it's a husband and wife. Scripturally, it says women must submit. And they should do so as if they are doing it to the Lord. And now, how do you submit? When I tell my husband what he's doing I don't like, am I submitting about when I do so? I'm going to deal with that. One of the ways you should submit to your husband is, it doesn't matter how angry you are, but you must never raise your voice when you are talking to him. I'm telling you that from a man's perspective, anything that you are saying thereafter is going to be rubbish. It comes here and it goes out this way.
No,
I'm not going to listen to it. Yeah. The next thing that will happen, because his ears are properly working, and if what you are saying is making sense, there is no need to increase the volume. He's still going to understand it after it's close to you after all. So the next thing that comes there, it says I need to take my car keys and just drive and disappear, because I'm not going to stand for this. Some, they don't come back. They get a comfort somewhere. And then women will say, amadoda izinja. Men are like dogs. But there are so many things that dogs are doing better than men. The dog can go to a neighbor's house. In the dog's household, they are preparing spinach, but next door there's bones from the KFC and the steak. It will eat the steak and then the bones of the steak and then come back home. But a man, you do so, he goes somewhere and he finds comfort. You'll find him appearing under somebody's sheets. Leaves his double-story house and goes to a shack. But a true man comes back and fights for what he has started. He doesn't give up. So, as men, that is what we must do. Right. Number two, men don't want to be compared with the others, and they don't want to know that there is a man who is better than him. That is why we had a problem, like Pastor Chi was saying there, that there is a man, that a woman that said, hey, don't talk to him, because they know what he's typical of. Why? Because he doesn't want to hear anything from someone else, because he thinks he's doing better than anyone. If you want to see the best out of man, you must commend him. You will see that if he does something today which is less, the following day he will improve. The other day he will do better. And after that, he will be the best.
Allowance for men.
God is smart because men interpret respect as love. There's nothing that touches a man's heart like a woman who respects him. She can get anything. It doesn't mean you don't have to disagree. You will disagree, but the question is, how are you doing so? Because you are insulting, doing all sorts of things. If it doesn't change after all. What have you achieved? Proverbs 31 says, she opens her mouth in wisdom. So at some point you'll score points solely by not saying anything, but by keeping quiet. And it's not because you don't know what to say, but because you think about what will happen after you've said what is. But a stupid will be adversarial. He does this, I'm going to do this. He does this, I'm going to. The next thing, he will wear his shoes and clothes and leave you. You must never fight a battle without a title. Never fight a bone that does not have a flesh. You have won a war of argument, but you have lost the husband. Now we go to the husbands. It says, love your wives as thou Christ does to the church. Mm-hmm. It now comes to what I said, that Jesus loved the church such that he had to give nothing but himself. So the first thing that you have to do, if you love your wife, you must give. And you must give unconditionally. Mr. Maja said something. They will be spending from your account. You will be looking at it. You feel it's a bit painful. But you say, after all, she is my wife and she deserves this. And for you to deserve that, you must deserve it. You mustn't steal the money from the husband. I said it earlier on that whatever you give to a woman, no matter how small, it comes back in multiples. If you give her happiness, she will give you a joy. If you give her stress, she will give you a depression. If you give her a house, she will give you a home. We know many of them. When the husband dies, life still goes on, but when the mother dies, that household is finished. Mm-hmm. So women, they have, if we can speak in the current language, they are the entrepreneurs. They make things happen. But they need a support from their husband who will believe in themselves. They can turn anything around. You give them a sperm, they give you a baby. So I said it earlier on that when you give her and the mindset is good, she will not complain about the amount that you are giving to her. Mr. Maja said you need to have a monthly allowance. I have the allowance. My wife has access to my bank account. She can spend. That has nothing to do with whether she's. By the way, she is a manager in one of critical care ICUs in Garanku. She's earning well, but I still feel that I have a responsibility to take care of her. You may have a parent that is employed. I want you to apply that concept. You may have a parent that is employed. You know that he's well earning. Sometimes in a year he will have double his salary. But he doesn't say, well done, government of Gauteng, God bless you, hey, you have given me a lot of money. He just takes the money, put it in his pocket and go. But 100 rand that comes from his child, he takes it with a smile and say, God bless you, my son or my daughter. And that goes a long way. So when you apply it in a concept of marriage, she may have her money, it may be enough, but the one that comes from the husband is special. She will take it with a smile. Some they even go to an extent at work lying that, hey, my husband bought me this, he prepared lunch for me and this, because they want to feel good. And they want those things. Keep doing them for them. I'm going to deal with more of that when I deal with the issues of the bedroom as well. The scripture says, treat them with understanding. When God gives you something, He doesn't give you a finished product. He will give you an input that you will use to manufacture your end product. You know why? Because if He can give you a baby that is 20 years of age, you will never understand where he comes from. You have to start. He will give you a pregnancy if He wants to give you a child. So that you start by knowing how it feels when you are pregnant. The baby is born. You must take care of him or her. It becomes the milestones. It grows. That's how you develop love of taking care of that baby. So where you are sitting, and if you think your wife is not complete, then you are there, you must complete her. It's good that you can see that there is a shortfall. Then it means you can make up for that. Yeah. So it therefore says you are given a responsibility, because He will give you what you should start building on. And then you must start building on that. Who are you blaming for the shortfall that is there? There is a word love. I want to unpack it and tell you for me what it means and how it can help you going forward. Your L stands for leadership. As a husband, you must be there in your house, because there are people who will be present but not available. And this happens very often. Women are talkative, by the way, and they are multitasking. She will be coming back from work. She couldn't wait to come back and tell you about all sorts of things that were happening at work. All what they need from you is to listen. Some of them, they don't even want you to give a solution. It's to you to say, it will be fine. And then it will be fine with them. So, a woman can switch on the washing machine and then she puts a pot on the stove. She's having a baby at the back. There's a TV, the game of soccer and pirate is playing. She will stand next to you here. You are sitting there, you're having a newspaper, and once you are focusing on the TV, you don't want anyone to disturb you. And she will be talking here. Something was happening at work, and you are not responding. One of the things that women need is the attention. Very important. She wants to know that you are there for her. So, leadership, you must be a guidance. You guide her spiritually in many ways. One day you'll hear my wife, she will talk. I teach her, and I'm also learning from her as well. That attention. And then you have your O, which is organized. Most men are not good communicators. I have a friend here. He will, in the presence of his wife, receive a call from the cousin. They are saying, we are going home to KZN next week, and there is a ceremony of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he thinks, therefore, he has communicated too. And when the wife starts talking that, I overheard you talking. And then he says, yeah, you heard it. So it means I have communicated. Now, I take my car and I say to my wife, I'm going to town. And then all of a sudden, what I want from town, it happens to be main lane. And then I change the route, I go to main lane. And then Pastor Chi meets my wife and say, where is Ndlovu? My wife says, he's in town. Pastor Chi's wife, she says, no, by the way, I met him on N4. He was going to the site of main lane. And then the wife says, no, I know him to be in town. It appears as if there's something that we are doing. And the sole part of it is you are disorganized. Because when you shift from town, you should let her know. Remember, you said you are one, your hearts are now beating together. The other half must know where the other one is. And the most important part of it is, when something happens to you, you don't come back, the first person to be asked from the village or from your parents is your wife. Where is our son? Mm-hmm. And she doesn't know where the son is.
Where did you
Why? Because I'm a man. When I go, I don't have to report to anyone. But now the problem is, even if you are with your friends, wherever you are, when something happens, they can't take accountability. They will start paging from your phone so that they call the wife that was not there, who was not even told to where people were going. And then there's a V. which is the visibility. We always advise spouses, because especially for women, they want it to be known who is mine. If there's a group of men that are sitting there, they always want it to be known who is mine amongst those men. I went with my wife in a holiday. We went to, what is this thing? In Rustenburg, Sun City. There's a site where kids are swimming. I was standing there with my kids, and my wife was sitting enjoying her lunch on the other side. Then there was a lady who stood up, and then she also had some kids who were playing inside there. All of a sudden, I saw my wife walking up. She said, hey, lunch is ready. And then she left. And I'm saying she's coming to make a statement, right? Yeah, I'm here. So that is the visibility. Part of the visibility, we want to show it. It starts with minor things to complement each other. We are wearing, and some are wearing as well, but somebody meeting people, he should be able to tell that this is a couple, it's not a brother and sister, by the way things look. If he's doing the analysis, they will tell him that, look, yeah, I think this is a couple. But the biggest...
Emphasize on that one, please.
Yeah, that's very important. You complementing each other. It starts with minor things. For an example, I made mention of the family matters where the family of the husband or the wife will be coming in, and then you also join the family that is fighting with your husband. Instead of complimenting him, assisting him to deal with a problem that is coming from outside. So it starts with minor things, the wearings of the clothes that it says we are a couple and we match, and therefore we do things together, even the money and everything. The second the second agents of visibility, the most important one is your kids. And the disorders that we are seeing nowadays, having the street kids, others are smoking yaupes, others are not doing well at school and so forth. It emanates from the families they are coming from. I said it earlier on that I am more like my father. All what I'm practicing, it comes from my father. And it's very important. One word from the father to the son is equivalent to 500 words from the mother. Because a man is talking to a man from a man's perspective. When kids decide that we are not getting married, they would have seen the hardship and the difficulties their parents or their mother is going through. Mm-hmm. So make sure that whatever you do in your household, you do it proper, because they say the son's first love is the mother. So the son that has never taken care of his mother, it will be difficult to take care of another woman who is a stranger that he met when he had 32 teeth. But the son's hero is the father. So what you do as a father, as a husband, and a man in that household is very important, because it will determine the view that your kids will have about the marriage going forward. And then your E. Yeah, E stands for you must encourage each other. Sometimes my wife will say things that I can see that this one will never work. But because it's very close to her heart, I need to take time, like Mr. Maja was saying, to support her. And we also spoke about the issue of calculating the risk and stuff like that. There is nothing of that sort. Because once we say we are one, it means if it is her blame, it's your blame as well. But the moment you start to say calculating so that we are able to link the risk to a culprit, then there will be a problem. Because there will be a cross accusation But you started this together and you planned, you said, yeah, it's good, let it happen. But once it backfires, then it becomes somebody's problem. We don't want the marriages of that nature. When something crumbles, we come together. We are a team, remember, we don't expose each other, but we sit down, understand our strengths and weaknesses and work from that. How do you, encouraging makes someone differentiate between love and lust? If, for an example, somebody says, I'm trapped in a traffic in Johannesburg and I'm coming to Pretoria, the gentleman who's got more than one girlfriend or who is got concubines, he will say, if he says he's in Johannesburg, it means at 6 o'clock he will not be here in Pretoria. He then says, never mind, don't come. But the one who's got love, not lust, he will be asking, how far are you? How many feeds it takes? How many are you now? What time do you think you will be here in Pretoria so that I will be ready at the station to pick you up and all sorts of things? Those things do happen. That people are becoming impatient in their marriages and relationships. Number 4, you need to avoid marital offenses. There are things that we call marital offenses, things that put your marriage at risk. For an example, keeping more contacts or having a close relationship with an opposite sex. And that person normally discusses his or her problems with you. And you spend time, because the problem with women, they want a listenership. They want somebody that will listen to them. And if you do so, you will be thinking you are helping on the other side. And the danger with that, it may develop something else on the other side. Whilst from your side, it's a very innocent conversation of trying to help another fellow. But the other one will be thinking that, yeah, this one is a good one. I'm going to start smashing now. So, yeah, so, and then the other one, for an example, is you are here in Pretoria with your family, and then you get an offer to go and work in Vereeniging, and they say the salary difference in your salary is going to be 10,000 rand, and then you go. God was not stupid when he says it was not good for a man to be alone. And he starts the sentence by saying, so therefore. And once a person says therefore, it means that is a well-thought decision. You will never go wrong with that. So you go there, you will not come to Pretoria all the weekends, and you stay there. And when you stay there, things start happening, and one leads to the other and the other. And then you have used 10,000 rand to sell away the family, because the setup will never be the same. Once you divorce, another man will stay with your kids, and then you'll be staying with your new wife, if it's a new wife. Another man is making laws for your kids, and then they don't have access to you, and so many things that will be happening. So we therefore have to think really that, can I really use 10,000 rand to spend a family that I started building from scratch up to where I am? Now I want to deal with sex. Yeah. Yeah. I said it earlier on that we as Christians, we tend to be too spiritual about these things. And some of them, they don't need a scripture. They need to be done. And be done properly, because whether you are a devil kicking a worshipper, there is a food for thought, food for your soul and the body, and we must make sure that we do provide on all those departments. The most important part is man receives love through the eyes. So for women, it's very important that you guys, you are always on point. You look proper, and you are still attractive to your husband. And some of you are unemployed, and husbands, you have responsibility. That's where the issue of the monthly allowance comes in. She will use that money to make herself look better and good for you and for your own benefits. So you must be able to give that money because you know that it will come back and it will make her look good for you as well.
Amen.
That's the first part of it. And then women receive love through the ears. So sex doesn't start during penetration in the bedroom. It starts in the morning when you wake up. How you greet each other. And that is the romance. And I want to say, for men, romance is not complete if sex is not involved. But what we need to understand as men is that for women, romance means something else. Sex may be part of it, it may not be part of it. But some men will be frustrated that they then start to be cozy, and then we start to press the buttons and it goes there. They say no. Then you feel offended. But you've got to understand the science of it. Men are mechanical and women are emotional. You need to deal with her emotions before you get to her body. So men can have sex with anyone. You can drive from here and go to Vereniging and have sex and come back. And they say it's got two minds. There's a primary mind and a secondary. In fact, I should say secondary brain and a primary brain. But unfortunately, these brains can't function optimally and equally at the same time. When the other one starts, the other one stops. That is why after finishing, having spent money somewhere, somebody will start thinking that what I have done is wrong, then I must go back to my household. Because now the other brain has stopped functioning. Yeah. So, right. And sex to men, women must understand is a requirement. And for women is a need, for men is a need. And women is what they like. But they don't like it with anyone. They like it with people they love and people they want. That is why I've said you need to start with the emotions first. Giving her money, bringing lunch at work, sending nice text messages. You are massaging her, you are preparing her, helping her with the kids when he's still busy with the other things. It reduces the stress and then it makes her mind focus. And she starts thinking about things that she can do rather than the stress, because when people are stressed, they start thinking and looking at each other like brothers. You must receive a brothers and a sister. When you send those text messages, sometimes you may not have time. Sometimes to my wife, I just send hearts and then send them through. And I'm telling you that message will mean a lot to her when he comes back home. And she can't wait to have that cozy and intimate situation with you at home. So you prepare the mood. So for a man, on that aspect, when you respect him, he will never treat you like any woman that he ever came across. So for men, we work on respect, and with women, we work on the emotions. Then everything will go well for you. And then the other thing is brain consumed through the eyes and ears. You must make sure that you spend time with the couples that you admire. You must attend couples fellowships as you do. That is how you will learn going forward. Because I myself as well, I have addressed so many people several times, but I still learn from the others. So it's very important that you should not behave as if you know everything, because otherwise you will not learn any and everything. And you also learn from each other by the way of listening, and don't undermine what she says and what your husband says. Pastor, she said something about we think all is well, and all of a sudden, boom, we hear there's a divorce that is coming. It starts by, as a man, you think you have the best wife ever. You have done things, you have cheated, and she has never left you. Whilst she is drifting away every day. And by the time you wake up, it will be too late, because she will tell you that I gave you time and you did this and this and this and this. Why? Because there was no maybe communication, and the environment was not conducive for them to communicate. And when I say people must communicate, I'm not talking about making 10 calls to your wife asking about whether the school fees for kids have been paid and whether water and lights and stuff like that. You spend hours and hours talking to your wife, discussing something else that does not relate to you. She needs calls that, not the calls to manage the household, but the calls that are addressing the relationship that you have with her. And it's also important that at some point you have to maximize on going on holidays, because when you are at home, so many things are happening, and that shifts the focus as well of dealing with the needs of each other. But when you are away from everything. Your kids that think they own you at home, they can just rock up at any time and tell you I need this and this, and you still have to give them attention, and you must be able to give the attention to each other. So if you go to a holiday, you get a chance to detox, you get a chance to reflect on each other's love, and you get a chance to recommit to each other, especially when it's anniversaries. That we have moved up to 5 years, if it is 5 years. What do we think we need to improve on? Then you talk about all those things. But if you're always there where there's a traffic, you won't have time to think about all those things that are affecting you as the individuals. And the next thing is we discover it is too late. Why? Because there was no communication. The last one is, which I just remember, is you must maximize on appreciating each other. And like I said, that women receive love through the ears. What you tell her when she leaves, going for work in the morning, it will make her day. And you can't believe it, what will happen at work. Even men that are telling her how much they love her, what they say, it will not count, because she says, my husband told me this, and she will stick to that. I think I have said a mouthful before I forget where I started and where I am. I will wait for questions. And I want to say this, if you are not comfortable to ask about some of the other things here, feel comfortable to send your questions to Pastor Chi. During the next sessions, we will deal with that, because now what happens is, if Mem Lovu asks a question, people will start to think that she is trying to address her problems, and then I will suppress that. I remember I was in another seminar, another wife, there's a wife of a pastor, and by the way, we pressure the pastors in that we want them to behave as gods, in that they are pure and perfect, and they are also human beings as well, by the way. So the wife is saying, what do you do if your husband wants to have sex with you and you are tired and you don't feel like? And then the other pastor jumped up and said, I think that question will be, it needs a one-on-one session. So we will deal with it at a later stage. And then they closed the session. And I said that woman left with a problem. But now the problem is that we are thinking she's trying to expose the husband. Under the circumstances. While she's trying to solve a problem, she has caused another problem, because they will fight when they go home. I don't know, maybe it was correct that she was addressing her personal problem. Okay, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much.
Wow. What can we say? All right. Do we have any questions? While we are thinking about what to say, when he spoke about the questions and all the stuff, I'm reminded of I went